welcome back. You know what it is, baby. If you're here, it's because you know that this podcast is all about you and you want to dive in just a little bit more on some things that you can do to overcome this crazy chatterbox that you've got in your mind. So today's going to be different. I want to play a game with y'all, okay? The game is overwhelmed or overthinking. So I'm going to read out 4 scenarios, okay? And what you're going to do is either write it down or just say it out loud or say it in your head, right? Or comment as well. Let us know what you came up with. And you're going to let me know if by the end of this sentence you feel like that's an overwhelm or if it is just overthinking. So without further ado, you know how we like to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. I want to get really clear on a couple of things. So I have a couple of things written out here. Let's go with number 1. You ready? Okay, I'm gonna let you get your piece of paper out if you'd like. If not, just pull out your notepad on your phone. Okay, so number 1. You've been staring at the same email draft for an hour, debating whether to add an exclamation mark or not. How could I even say something like that? Because I've been there, right? I have done this before, and I've heard of many people having an issue writing up emails, writing up text messages, just overthinking, wink, wink, on what it is that they want to say next, okay? So go ahead, type it down in the comments, write it down on a piece of paper. You've been staring at the same email draft for an hour, debating whether or not to put an exclamation mark at the end of your sentence. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, 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 tock. Okay, what did we come up with? If you said overthinking, bing, 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 you're right. Congratulations. All right. Now that we've gone through the first one, I just want to explain why this is important, because there's something called an emotional wheel. And if you don't know what that is, I urge you to look it up. Okay, go to Google, type in the emotional wheel. What you will find in the images section of Google, don't try to read all the articles, go to images. You're going to find something very interesting. And it's a branch of emotions, right? One bold emotion, meaning the main emotion, might be overjoyed or just joyful. Then there's another emotion, which might be something closer to anger, right? But between neutrality and overjoyed is a range of emotions. And then the same thing for the anger. Between neutrality and anger, we have a range of emotions. And what's so interesting about that is a lot of times people will call something that they're feeling one thing when really it's something else. So I like to do these exercises for myself. And I said, you know what? Why don't I bring on one of these exercises for my people here, for my beautiful community, to help you guys get a little bit more clear on what we might actually be feeling, right? Instead of just a blanket overview of I'm angry or I'm pissed or I'm happy or joyful, right? Let's pinpoint what these things might be. So once you look up the emotional wheel, you'll get what I'm saying. And the second one, we're going to run right into it, okay? This one's pretty funny. So you walked into a room and forgot why you were there, okay? So what we're doing is choosing between overwhelmed or overthinking. You walked into a room and forgot why you were there. So you decide to stand there awkwardly for a few seconds, hoping you're going to remember. Is that overwhelmed or just overthinking? This one's a little tricky, right? Okay. If you went with overwhelmed, you are correct. And the reason being is because as you break this down, as you were walking into the room, you remembered at the time, like going into the room, what do I need? But you're like, darn it, I'm in here now. I don't remember. And so you stand there, right? Hoping that you'll remember. And why do I say that that's overwhelm? Well, overwhelm is a symptom of anxiety. And typically, when people are anxious, there's a chatterbox in the mind that's running. And I'm not any more special than anybody else who for the last thousand, who knows how many years have known this thing. But that chatterbox in your mind, it's going to talk to you. So if you're walking into a room, okay, you're probably not really thinking about what you're going to get anymore because you already had the thought. You started walking and then another thought came in, then another thought, then another thought, then another thought. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God. There's just too much going on. I can't even remember what I was here for, right? Now, that's not an extreme case of overwhelm. It's just a light one. But this is trying to keep it as light as possible because these things show up in the most subtle ways. Oh my God, that's sneaky overwhelm. All right, let's go to number 3. So you set 10 alarms in the morning. You set 10 of them in the AM when you woke up, okay? But you still end up late. Who can relate? I can, right? Because you spent too freaking long deciding what shoes to wear. What is that, overwhelm or overthinking? We got another tricky one, right? It's another little trickster. So you set 10 alarms for the AM, but you still end up late because you spent too much time deciding what shoes to wear. And this is mainly for my ladies, I think. Yeah, guys, you may not have this issue. But if you're a sneakerhead, then sure you do. So what did you guys come up with? Overwhelmed or overthinking? This one's fun. I'm giving you guys an extra second because it took me a second too, right? I wrote this one down and I was like, I don't know. I don't know which way, but I knew, right, somewhere in me that this is a, it's not necessarily negative at all, but it's something that we don't necessarily want to happen, right? But here you go. It is overwhelm that leads to overthinking. Because here's the thing, some overwhelm, like me in the past, I know when I would get overwhelmed, there's 3 responses: fight, flight, and freeze. I would fly, period. I'd be like, all right, I just not gonna think about it anymore. Okay, it is what it is. Grab the shoes and go, right? But that was after the 10 minutes went by. It was crazy. So overwhelm, overthinking, it's overwhelm into overthinking. That was a little tricky one, okay? I don't necessarily want people to feel like I'm poking at you, right? Because that's not the idea here. It's not to make fun. It's to bring light to these types of situations, right? So I'm glad you're playing along. Overwhelm that led to overthinking, right? You were overwhelmed by the 10 alarms. You had so many freaking alarms. You're like, oh my God, I gotta go. That's overwhelm, right? And then it transmutes itself into overthinking, okay? Now let's go to number 4. And if you want some clarity on that, I can do that in the next episode 100%. The number 4, you rehearsed what you're going to say in a meeting. Or I put a little slash, or what you're gonna say to someone when you're, how did I put it? You're gonna, darn it, because I didn't write this part down. What you're gonna say to someone who you need to have a serious conversation with. That's what I was trying to say. So you're rehearsing what you're gonna say to someone who is in a meeting, right? Or what you're going to say in a meeting, or someone who you're having a serious conversation with. But when it's your turn, you just say, hi, and then you forget everything else. Right? You just say, hey, like, oh shoot, I totally forgot what I was going to say here. Yeah. Which one is that, guys? Overwhelm or overthinking? Overwhelm, overthinking. Which one? Do, 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 do. Overwhelm. Overwhelm. If you guessed overthinking, sorry. But if you guessed overwhelm, you're absolutely correct. This typically happens when we have big things going on, or when we have a sense of insecurity, lack of confidence. And when we have insecurities and lack of confidence, especially in what we are saying and how we communicate, it turns out that you will become overwhelmed and everything you had prepared will go on the back burner. See what I mean by the fight, flight, or freeze? That's a perfect example, and that's why I chose it. Because that's an example of the, I said flight, but that for myself, but that's an example for freezing, okay? And it's National Dog Day. If you see my dog back there, that's one of them. My other one's sitting down here by my feet. And if you're not watching this video at all and you're just listening to the podcast, just know my dog's on the couch behind me, and it is National, I think, Pet Day, or is it dog or pet? I don't know. It's either perro for my Espanol speaking familia out there, or it is, I don't know what the name for pet is, but I'll say peto, okay? It's either perro or peto. That works for me. But yeah, so rehearsing what you're gonna say to someone, and then when it's your opportunity to speak, you become, okay, that's happened how many times to me? More than I can count. How many times to you? I'm sure it feels the exact same way. So this was a fun game that I thought would be very interesting to kind of start to make little slight distinctions between things. I know that one blended into the other, but that's what I meant by subtle nuances. These things happen so subtly. There's a quote that I heard recently where a habit is too weak to be felt, but too strong to be broken. And this is a great example of that, because habitually, right, we don't know these things that we do have a grand effect on us. But when we go to try to change them, we realize, holy crap, this actually has more of a hold on me than I gave it credit for, right? So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're like overthinking about things, worry no more. I have a solution for you, and that is simply to come to my event called Reclaim Your Life, okay? Millennial Z's 4-step blueprint to be your complete self. Do life with happiness, do life with confidence, and have unshakable peace, okay? If that sounds interesting to you, I have a link right here inside of the podcast in the comments. And then also, if you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, any of the platforms that matter to me, I will post it on TikTok as well. Finally made a TikTok. Don't judge me. Judge yourself, right? When you judge me, you judge yourself. And you can find the link there. You can tap on it, click on it, whatever device you're on. When you get to the Eventbrite page, you're going to click register or get tickets, whatever that button says. It's a big orange button. Once you click that button, you're going to fill out your information. Read about what it is first, right? If it's something that you want to do, read about it first, right? Because it's not for everybody. And once you get to the registration page, put your name, email, click send, and then I'm going to send you personally your own welcome into the registration group. Once you get that welcome, pay close attention. There's going to be some Zoom links in there. You're going to want to click on those Zoom links when the time comes. Don't worry though, you're going to get a few more emails before. That way you're reminded, you remember, and you show up, right? Ready to make up and shake up your life. I'm so excited. Who else is with me on this? Let's reclaim our lives. But thank you so much for coming to this beautiful podcast episode. It might have been a little choppy, but either way, we're still going to continue to grow, change, and expand. And I can't wait to see you at Reclaim Your Life. This has been Makaija, Direct Sunlight, and Mind is Matter. Always remember to be the sun and not its rays. That means be able to observe what's going on from the point of the sun, not acting like, does the sun think it's the rays that it sprays out? No, the sun knows I'm the sun, right? And the rays are just a reflection, okay? The rays are what everybody else has an opportunity to feel, to be warmed by. But you are the sun itself, okay? Not its rays, not what you think you are. I love you. I can't wait to see you on the next video, on the next podcast. You're amazing. Stay amazing. And I'll see y'all very soon. Bow.